The Smothers brothers built a billion-dollar legacy. Not on hype, not on headlines, and not in the way most entertainers do. They weren't trying to go viral. They didn't build a media company or get swallowed by Hollywood. They kept their circle tight, their operations lean, and their money working in the background. What they built, through decades of touring, smart land investments, and long-tail IP, has more long-term value than most modern celebrity brands combined. It started, as these things usually do, with a TV deal. The Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour ran on CBS from 1967 to 1969. During its short but powerful run, the brothers were earning about $25,000 per episode. Not superstar money, but for the era, it was significant. They produced 72 episodes. That's nearly $2 million at the time. And when you account for inflation, you're looking at closer to $15 million in today's terms. But here's where it gets more interesting. Tom Smothers negotiated partial rights to the performances and the music. They showcased artists that no one else in network television was touching. Pete Seeger, Joan Baez, Buffalo Springfield. That move gave them exposure and, more importantly, some control over the show's legacy. While the full rights stayed with CBS, the brothers retained a sliver of ownership in what mattered: the content. That sliver has produced income for decades through syndication, licensing, and residuals. It's not enough to fund a jet, but it's certainly enough to fund a strategy. And while most canceled TV stars were scrambling for a comeback, Tom and Dick pivoted. They went out on the road and never looked back. For nearly 4 decades, the Smothers brothers toured aggressively. Theaters, casinos, resorts, and civic centers. They became a live act with staying power, the kind that filled 3,000 seats in Peoria just as easily as they did in Las Vegas. At their peak, they were earning $25,000 to $50,000 per show. They did over 1,000 performances between the 1970s and early 2000s. That's a minimum of $25 million in touring income. And that's conservative. After costs, they likely kept between $15 and $18 million of it. And that money, the touring revenue, funded the move that changed everything. In the late 1970s, Tom Smothers bought land. Not a house, not a condo, land. 110 acres on Sonoma Mountain, in the heart of what would become one of the most valuable viticultural areas in North America. At the time, he paid a fraction of what it's worth now, somewhere around $250,000. But instead of flipping it or building a mansion, he planted Cabernet Sauvignon. He founded Remick Ridge Vineyards and did something most celebrities don't. He kept it quiet and profitable. He didn't slap his face on a bottle or build a tasting room. Instead, he sold grapes, high-quality grapes, to top-tier winemakers like Arrowwood and Benziger. Those contracts, running year after year, brought in an estimated $400,000 to $600,000 annually, depending on the harvest. Over 40 years, that's roughly $20 million in grape sales alone. And the land? That's appreciated into the 8-figure range. The vineyard today is worth at least $50 to $100 million on the real estate market. Probably more, given the infrastructure, brand value, and location. This is the difference between celebrity wealth and real wealth. Tom built a consistent, cash-producing asset that appreciated over time and required no fame to maintain it. It was the kind of financial play a hedge fund would admire. Now, Dick Smothers had different interests. He was into racing. He co-owned a Trans Am team, drove competitively, and dabbled in NASCAR. That venture didn't make money. It wasn't designed to. It was funded by touring and meant for enjoyment. There's no meaningful financial return from the racing side of the story. Maybe some memorabilia value, but nothing material. Still, it shows that even when they indulged, they did it with funds they had earned, not borrowed. As of 2023, when Tom passed away, the estate was already in order. Remick Ridge remains in the family. It's held in trust. His son, Bo, has been involved with the vineyard for years, and there's no sign of a liquidation or fire sale. That alone sets them apart. The estate wasn't just built, it was protected. No drama, no probate chaos, no public collapse. Just land, grapes, and equity. And there's still more value on the table. The Smothers brothers own a library of live performance recordings, original material, and show format rights that haven't been fully exploited. A properly structured licensing deal for documentaries, streaming specials, or archive content could unlock another 2 to 3 million in revenue. Maybe more if packaged correctly for a platform like Netflix, PBS, or a legacy streaming service. So when you add it all up, the television earnings, the IP, the decades of touring, the vineyard, the land, the family trust, and the untapped licensing value, you're looking at a financial empire worth anywhere from 100 to 300 million in hard assets. But when you include brand equity, long-term real estate appreciation, and the potential to commercialize their legacy over the next 2 decades, the total valuation edges into serious territory. Not just high 8 figures, but plausibly 9. Maybe not a billion, but close, and someday it might well be. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, it was built slowly, methodically, and with control at every step. That's not just entertainment wealth, that's generational strategy. Thanks for watching. If you want to connect by subscribing or following us on socials, that would be so awesome. Over and out.